Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you the basics of Blender. When you open Blender it'll look like this. You can just go ahead and click off. The first thing you need to know is how to move the camera around. So you need to press middle mouse button down to rotate. If you hold shift and middle mouse down, it'll let you move up, down, left, right. And if you scroll your middle mouse, you can zoom in and out. So get comfortable doing that. I'm just going to start with something real basic, which is a table and some chairs. I'm going to model it off of a table at one of my places I work at. So we're just going to start with what we already have here, just the cube. And we're in object mode. If you're not, make sure you are up here. And to start with, I'm going to go to scale. So there's three ways to manipulate things, at least in object mode. There's move, rotate, and scale. They're all right here. So first of all, I'm going to scale it out to make it like said table. You can see if I grab from the middle, it scales equally. If I grab from these handles, it'll scale in that direction. So grab it and kind of scale it so it's a flat rectangle. And once you're satisfied with that, we're going to switch to edit mode and actually edit this thing. So you can do that up here, switch to edit mode. Or you can press tab to switch between object and edit mode. Generally I like to click off just to deselect everything. And now that we're in edit mode, there's three ways to edit things. There's vertices, edges, and faces. The vertices are the dots, the edges are the lines, and the faces are the polygons in the middle. So to start, we're going to do edges, and I'm going to make some cuts. You'll see why as we go through. One of the best tools is Loop Cut right here. So if you click Loop Cut and you hover over whichever edge you're trying to cut through, it'll show you a preview. If you click once, there will be a little dialog box down here you can open up and change the number of cuts to however many you want. Let's do 2 for now. When you do that, they're already selected. So if I go to scale, they're already selected. I can scale it apart from each other, which won't change the shape of the object. It'll just move the geometry to where I need it. So you can do whatever table you want, but this particular table is going to have 2 cuts right about at the edges, and then 2 more that are kind of close to it like that. That way we have 2 cuts on either side. And it's when you scale it apart from each other, that keeps it perfectly symmetrical instead of trying to manually position them. Okay, and I'm going to do 2 more cuts this way. So just hover over, click once, change my number of cuts to 2, grab the scale tool, and this time I'm scaling it in on itself this direction. So the whole point of that was to basically make this little square right here. And I'll show you why. If you switch from edge mode to face mode right here, grab that face, so just left click it, hold shift, and click the corresponding one on the other side. And then there's a button here, it's called extrude. We can just click that and drag. That will make the table legs, like the central table legs. If you keep dragging, it'll keep adding more geometry, which you don't want. Also, Control Z will take you back. It's very helpful. So if I pull it down and now I want to adjust it, I can just switch to the Move tool right here, and I can just adjust it as needed. In this instance, I'm going to need actually one more extrusion. So if I go back to Extrude, pull it down just a bit. Also, E is the hotkey if you want to learn the hotkeys. So I just need this to have the setup for the base of the legs. Now I'll switch back to my... I usually just switch to the Move tool so I'm not using some other tool I don't want to use. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the front polygons and the back ones of either leg. So now if I extrude this, it's not going to work for me because it all wants to go one direction. If you go to that extrude tool and you hold it down, there's other options. We're going to use extrude along normals, which will make it go away from whichever way it's facing. You click that, or you choose that, then you just click and drag. Make sure you don't do it backwards. You'll see it's kind of shimmery if it goes backwards. You want to make sure it goes outwards. So there we go, there's a simple table. And then let's make some chairs for it real quick. Essentially the same thing. Make sure you click off of this so you can make a new object. And back in object mode, make sure there's nothing selected. Go to add mesh cube. Make sure all this is at 0, that's fine. And we'll just do that manually. In the meantime, I'm going to hide the table I made. So up here is everything in your scene. I don't really need any of it. If you hit the eyeballs, it hides it, it doesn't delete it. So I'm just hiding it so I can work more easier on more things. So I'm going to make a super basic chair. Just kind of squash this guy down. Make it whatever shape you want, and then again just go to edit mode up here or press tab and do some loop cuts. So I'll click, tell it 2, scale those guys apart, and do that one more time this way. It's a lot of repetition in modeling, so you'll get more and more comfortable as you go. And then switch to face mode, and I'm going to pull all these legs out like we did with the table. If you just hold shift, you can add to your selection and grab all those. Again, you can either hit extrude. This time we want to go to the regular extrude, not the extrude along normals, although it wouldn't really matter. And pull down the legs of the chair to whatever you want, and then go back to my normal move tool. And for this one I'm going to show a couple more techniques. So we know that if you hold shift, it adds to your selection. If you hold control, it'll select everything from point A to point B. So as you can see here, it selects everything in between as I click. And I'm going to do this for, actually I think the seat would be better this way. So I'm going to extrude these ones up, and then just grab the back by holding control and clicking, and extrude the back up. And now I have a chair. If I unhide my table, I can see my chair is a wee bit too small. Not a problem, I can go to scale and either grab the middle, scale it everywhere, or just press S for scale. So to line this up, we're going to want to change our view. The view is up here, and we can go to the viewpoint and change our view to front here. And I can go ahead and just line my chair up. It looks like it's still too small. Again, you can press S for scale and make it bigger. And I'm just going to move it to kind of match the table. 1 is the shortcut for front view. So 1 on the number pad, the little bunch of numbers on the right side of the keyboard. That'll give you the front view. And if you press 5, it'll switch between perspective view and orthographic view. So it's easier to kind of line things up if you're on orthographic view. So say I'm happy with that. Turn the camera. There's a little secret tab over here. There's a little arrow up here. You can open up, and it has kind of where this thing is, the whole object itself. So in this case I want to rotate it, right? And you can see your axis here. So I'm going to rotate it along this blue one, which is Z. So I'll say Z rotation. And you can kind of click and drag, just make sure you go in the right direction, and then just manually type it in. We'll say 90 degrees. Let's see, so I'll line this guy up however I want under the table. And a quick little way to duplicate things is press Shift D, and it'll duplicate it. It kind of just lets you pull it wherever you want, which is not ideal. If you want to lock anything to an axis, you can press the corresponding button. So X, Y, or Z. It'll lock it in that direction. In this case, I'm just going to move it on the Y because I want it to be lined up otherwise, but just scoot it over. Okay, so I got 2. I can hold Shift and grab the other chair. So now I have both of them selected, and I can Shift D, duplicate that thing, and I can get both at the same time. And this time I want to have them lined up in the X-axis, so I press X. And then from there, I will rotate them again along the Z. Looks like I have to do them individually. Oops. 270. So hopefully you know your angles. This one, I guess, is 270 for both of them. And now we have a simple table with chairs done properly. So I hope that was helpful with the basics of Blender. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks.